A pleasant morning to all of you. My name is Kapil Dharamgoda. I'm the Managing Director of Academy of Finance Private Limited and the Regional Director of ICMA Australia Sri Lankan chapter. Thank you very much for being with us in this beautiful Sunday morning for this session, the Buzz Talk on redefining your business model for the new normal. This is actually one of the series of webinars that you're going to have. But these days you are inundated with so many webinars. But what is going to be unique with these webinars are that these are very short webinars, maximum 45-minute duration, which will help you to learn something that is going to be useful your personal life as well as your professional life. That's what it is going to be. As you all know, COVID-19 has changed our lives completely. The way we eat, drink, and sleep, our professional lives, as well as our corporate lives, have completely changed. Many things in our lives that we thought that we could never do without, we find it difficult, not any difficulty in living without those things. And many things that you thought that is impossible to be done, we find it quite possible to do, right? So everything in our lives have changed. At the same time, the way we conduct our business also should change. That is why we thought it is very appropriate at this point of time to have this buzz talk on redefining your business model, how we should relook at our business model to meet the current scenario. And in order to have this session with us, we have invited Mr. Chaminda Kumarasiri, who is a senior chartered accountant having multiple professional and academic qualifications. He has experience in senior management consultant with over 20 years of experience in the corporate sector, holding senior positions in leading blue chips and multinationals. He's a director, Telecommunications Regulatory Commission of Sri Lanka as at now, and also a governing council member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Sri Lanka, and a member of the International Panel of Accounting Federation at the International Federation of Accountants, that is IFAC. Chaminda is also an independent non-executive director of SDB Bank and a senior lecturer attached to many universities and professional bodies. And Chaminda has been a lecturer with Academy of Finance and ICMA Australia for the past 12 years. I'm sure you're going to have an interesting session with Chaminda. Over to you, Ms. Chaminda, please.
New normal, we have to discuss in a slightly different context than what we originally thought, because most of the people thought the new normal would be something that is free of pandemic or free of coronavirus, but we have to now look at it in a different way. So if I continue, this is considered the biggest lockdown in the history of the world. So we have had pandemics in the past. We have had more deaths than what we experience now. But according to the economists and the experts, this is the first time in the history of the world that the entire world went for a lockdown. So this is a normal experience for everyone, right? We cannot stick to our traditional business models or the way we used to predict the future in the current context. And most of these well-proven models have become redundant now, and we are urged to redefine some of the models, and more importantly, we are now required to live with the reality of the world that may be somewhat different to what we see in the textbooks. And that is the context we are in today. And if I move further, we discussed about black swan events in the past. We use the word black swan whenever we face an unusual or once in a lifetime or rare circumstance. Now, we thought when we got the Easter Day attack last year, it was a black swan event. And even before, several years ago, we have never heard of a tsunami and we got affected, and then we knew that something like tsunami, this can have devastating impact. Then we got the Easter Day attack, and we never expected this to come. Now we have the coronavirus affecting the entire world. With this, the lesson that we need to learn before we move forward is we have to now learn to expect the unexpected. So that is going to be the new norm, right? Expect surprises. So there's nothing called surprise anymore. Everything becomes normal in our future life, future model, right? Extraordinary become ordinary. So in that context, I would even suggest that the new normal is not a world without pandemic, without COVID. It's a world with the pandemic. How do we live with the virus and still manage our businesses as usual? And that is what we need to plan ahead in the new normal. So in the current context, we may have had different plans in our businesses, strategic plans, or whatever you call it. But we have to now get back to our drawing board. Growth is not an option at this point in time. Of course, except for those people who can now leverage the current context into their advantage, especially the organizations who are already on the e-commerce platforms, who have a strong distribution channels. They may be able to look at the growth strategies because now they have got a golden opportunity. But for many organizations, growth is not the game at this point in time. It is the survival. If you can breathe, if you can save your life, that is the number one achievement in today's context. Keeping that in the backdrop, we need to now look at the business aspect and how we are going to look at the business, right? So this is the mindset we need to start with. Expect the best, because we always want to expect good things to happen. That is human nature, and that should be the driving force. That should be the motivation for your organizations as well. However, we need to prepare for the worst, right? Expect the best, but prepare for the worst and capitalize on what comes. That is mostly in terms of the opportunities that we talk about. So you may have heard of this famous saying by late President of America, Winston Churchill: never let a good crisis go to waste. Of course, we are going through a difficult time, but this is not a time that we should wait and see until things fall in line. Wait and see someone else come and fix the environment for us. Wait and see until we get some bailout package from someone to revive our business. No. This is the time that everyone is struggling. So we are not exception. We all are in the same boat. So the winners will be those who make use of this opportunity to the advantage of their organizations. So on that note, I need to expand now into the strategic perspectives. We are discussing strategy, business model. Now, I would like you to read this statement, right? We talk about opportunities. Every crisis has opportunities, yes, but it's not about the opportunities alone, right? Everyone can see the opportunities. You can see the opportunities, I can see the opportunities. But it's not a question of seeing the opportunities. Everyone sees it. But the question is how you handle these opportunities, right? It's not only seeing the right opportunities, how you handle the opportunities, right? So those are the ones who win the game in this current context. So that is what we are going to look at. So when you want to grab opportunities and strengthen your existence in the marketplace, you need to look at your business model. Your business model is the main part in the game. It is not the product that you sell. It is not the service that you sell. It is the entire business model that you possess. And you need to assess whether the business model as a whole is strong enough to survive the current context and to thrive in the new norm. And that is what we are going to discuss today. In the interest of time, I'm going to discuss one model that captures the entire business, which will help you to navigate through your business as well. Right. Before I get into the model I'm going to discuss, I'm going to give you a high level sanity check or a self-assessment that you can do to see how strong or stable is your business model in the current context. This is, I must say, this is not a comprehensive list. This is something that I use with my clients. It's a lengthy questionnaire. I have used a few key questions in the questionnaire. Here, I just extracted 5 vital questions in the current context for you to do this. So how you do this is, I'm going to give you a scale from 0 to 10. So you need to look at your business model, especially if you are an owner of a business. It will be ideal. I have looked at this from the owner's point of view, right? The shareholder point of view. It doesn't matter, even the management can use the same model, same questions to assess the business. From 0 to 10, you need to assess where is your business in this scale in terms of each of these areas. The first one is the switching cost, right? Switching cost. 0 being nothing holds my customers back from leaving me. That is, you have no strategy, you have no space in your model to lock your customers. They can switch to any place they want. That's the way I'm operating. Versus, my customers are locked in for several years. How far you have locked your customers in with you, probably with certain loyalty programs, or the way you structure your transactions with the customers, or maybe the way you have locked them up in the long run. Whatever the strategy you use, how comfortable are you that your customers will stay with you for the next couple of years, at least for the next couple of months until you recover from this situation? So 10 is the best case, 0 is the worst case that you are likely to lose the customers. You can make an assessment based on your business model, where you stand, right? The next question would be revenue streams, right? 0 being my sales are transactional. That means I have to hunt business every time, right? Transactional, transaction to transaction, I have to hunt the business. I have to drive the business, drive the sale. Versus, I have already defined my business model in such a way that the customers are onboarded, my sales happen automatically, right? The sales are automatic, already inbuilt in the model. I don't need to worry about chasing customers. It will come. This is the case with most of the online platforms with loaded products. It can be services, it can be products, anything. So you just, for example, Netflix. Netflix is the best example I can give. They have already loaded their videos. It's just a matter of customers going and subscribing and using it. So their business model is automatic. You don't have to hunt for each and every business every time. So where are you in this continuum in your business model? Third question is value creation, right? In terms of value creation, how much of the value creation happens inside your business and how much is outside your business? In your business model, if the majority of value creation happen outside the business and you add a very little portion of it, your business model is not that strong because highly vulnerable. You have very little to say in the whole equation. Versus 100% value addition happens within you. which means for you to get your product out to the market, your role matters the most, so that the customers have to depend on you to get your product. So you can make your assessment in the continuum where you stand. Next is the people part of it. So most of the businesses, especially SMEs, family businesses, sole proprietorships, all these businesses, right, mostly dependent on few key individuals. You're highly dependent on your people, right? Mostly few identified people. They are multitasking, multi-talented. Sometimes they drive the whole business. What is the control you have on those people? When I say people, owner included, right? If you as the owner of the business is the main person who drives the business, who has the main capability, then you are safe anyway. If you are not the main person in the business, what is the control you have over those people? Maybe you can lock them up contractually or through your loyalty, how they gel with you, right? Is it strong enough to keep them with you, right? Is there a possibility for them to leave you and join another organization during this situation? So if you have no control, you are 0. If you have full control, you are 10. So you can now take a call on that. First of all, you need to identify, it's not about the entire staff cadre, it's about the key people, right? Key people. Who are the key people in your business? And what is the control you have on the key people? The last question is suppliers, right? I know most of the businesses in current context find it difficult to manage your business because the raw materials are not coming. So before we get the COVID-19 into the Sri Lankan context, we saw this situation when it was there in China, because most of the local producers were depending on Chinese input or raw material. So most of our businesses got affected because of that. Now, here is the assessment. Are you dependent on a single supplier for your main products or raw material from a single source? Then you are highly vulnerable. The moment you lose that particular supplier, or when there is a barrier to the market, your entire business will be hampered. Versus whether you have at least 2 good suppliers from different locations for your key materials or products, with a backup for each supplier, which means you have 2 key suppliers for your main product or the raw material, and you also have 2 other backup suppliers just in case. If you are in that situation, you are a 10. Otherwise, if you are on the other stream, you are a 0, but you can assess in between where you are. So this is a very basic sanity check, a model I have given you to check some of the vital aspects of your business. If you get a higher score, if you get, in this case, 10 into 5 is 50. If you have got 50 out of 50, your business model is a strong business model to survive the current context, and it has a sustainable future, right? It can sustain in the future. Now that is a very basic one. Let me go into a much more comprehensive model that will capture the entire business, right? So this is called the 9 building blocks. This is how an organization creates and captures value. I have extracted this from a model called Business Model Canvas, introduced by a person called Alexander Osterwalder. This is one of the popular business models that we use in capturing. This is what I generally use when I cater to my clients to understand the business and fix their problems, because it captures the entire business. Unfortunately, I cannot explain the whole concept within a half an hour. It takes several hours at least to explain the nitty-gritties, but I'm going to teach you or explain you the basic model and how to use that in assessing your business and to fix the issues in the current context. So it has 9 blocks, as it says. right? The first one is the customer segments, right? Who are your most important customers? So when you say customers, you can extend it to other stakeholders who support you in delivering the customers in the selling part. The next is customer relationships, right? What type of relationships does each of our stakeholder or the customer expect us to establish and maintain with them? So which ones we have established properly, and how integrated are our customers with our business model? So these are the points. Sorry, I got a little interruption, sorry. These are the aspects we look at. And then we have the channels. Channels are about how we reach our customers, right? And it can be online, it can be physical, it can be door to door, it can be through a showroom, whatever the model. So how you reach to your customers, how you deliver your products to the customers, and what channels are working well in the current context. Then this is one of the most important elements in this whole model, the value proposition. So what is the value proposition? It's the sum of total benefits a customer receives by purchasing your product or service. Right? In other words, this answers the fundamental question: why should a particular customer come to your business? Why should they purchase your product? Right? The value proposition will explain that. So what value are we offering it? Right? Or what problems of the customers are we solving? And what bundle of products or services are we offering to the customers with what features? So all that is defined here. So this is one of the main areas. Then the key activities, right? What are the key activities we have inside our organization to cater to our customers through our value proposition? The next column is this, next page is key resources, right? What are the key resources we have or we require to deliver our value proposition to the customers? Then we have key partners, right? One of the main partners in that is your suppliers, right? It's not only suppliers, you have bankers, other consultants, intermediaries, supporting parties, anyone who supports in your business as key partners. It can be your peers or people in your value chain, whoever, right? Other than the customer segments, most of the other partners who help you, suppliers being the main partner in delivering your value proposition. Finally, we come to the financials, right? Your cost structure and the revenue streams. So what are the key costs in your business, and what items are expensive, what items are cheaper, all that is there. Then the revenue, it is not only the value of the revenue, it is also about the channels that you have, different products, different markets, your product mix, your market mix, all that comes here. So as you can see, when you look at these 9 boxes, this captures the entire business model of any business. All you have to do is to map your existing business against each of these segments and identify the relevant components, and then you can make an assessment. So now I am going to give you few questions or few areas to look into when you make this assessment, right? In terms of customer segment, right? In terms of customer segment, you can ask several questions. How are your existing customers going to be benefited? Oh, sorry, affected, right? How are your existing customers going to be affected with this current context? Not only you, your customers are also affected. So you make an assessment. then you can customize your offering or take that into account in your value proposition. Then also another important aspect to look at is there's a tendency for the customer's taste or requirement to change. So we have seen in the current context, based on various surveys and findings, they say the customers are now moving to basic products. There's a tendency for customers to reduce consumption on luxury items. They now get back to the core product rather than the brand or the packaging. Right? Likewise, there are different trends in the customer segment, and certain customers have decided not to spend on certain discretionary items. So likewise, there is a change in the customer taste. You need to understand that part. Then what are the new needs of the customers stemming out of this, right? These new needs can be different to what they used to have in the past. Especially, we can see even there are needs for new products. In the current context, there is a huge demand for sanitary items, face masks, etc. But it may be a temporary bubble until the pandemic is over, but there will be certain amount of hygiene factors or the practices that the customers will anyway continue. These are some of the aspects. Then will your customers be the same? Are you going to cater to the same customers, or you want to look at new set of customers? Also, there can be certain barriers for your customers to enter. So how can you lower that entry barrier to your customers in the current context, right? So it can be due to prices. It can be due to various other reasons. It can be due to the location. It can be due to your availability in different geographical areas. So there can be several things that the customers are unable to. So how you can cater to that? So these are some of the questions you can ask and fix that part of it. Next, if you look at customer relationships, right? That is very important. Here, one of the main points is how you communicate with your customers. Of course, how you have been doing this in the past matters a lot here, because if you had maintained a good relationship with your customers, they will not leave you in this situation. They will stick to you. But if you had issues in the past, at least now it's time to correct. When you say communication, one of the most important things is telling the truth to your customers. Be open about your issues. Explain them. And also, even if you don't have a transaction with your customers, it's always a good idea to have a link with them, talk to them, right? Check whether they are okay and see whether you can do something for them, if not for their financial aspects, at least some other ways that you can make their life comfortable. These are some of the good things that you can do to improve customer relationships. And also, how you act in the current situation matters a lot in building customer relationship. Not only your direct interaction with the customer, but also how you behave in the current context in terms of supporting the authorities and the needy segments, and in terms of how you treat your employees and how you restructure your organization. People value that, right? Next, the channels. Needless to say that in current context, digital channels play a vital role. And also the ability to deliver to doorsteps, whether you have those capabilities or whether you want to invest or whether you want to partner with someone who has these capabilities. So this is one of the key areas you need to look into, how you onboard yourself into these digital channels and delivery channels. Then comes the value proposition. Now, this is one of the key areas you need to work on. You need to go back to your drawing board. You may have to radically redesign your entire value proposition to suit the current context. Because you might have to first evaluate what is the current market is going to be, what are the dynamics in the new market, what are the customer tastes, what are the priorities of the customers, how the customers want to see your product, receive your product, consume your product, maintain your relationship, what are the vital aspects the customers would like to see in your product, all that matters. Now, you may have to now make an assessment about the fit between your product or the value proposition with the market and redesign it. Sometimes it may be a modification. For some, it has to be a complete revamping of your value proposition. Right. Next, key activities. Key activities, again, you need to now look at how you operate your business. Here, one of the main learnings we got during the current context is how to work remotely, right? How to get your people to work from home, how to interact with your customers, suppliers, and other stakeholders remotely. So how to arrange your logistics and other processes to suit those conditions. So your activities may have to be redefined, revisited. And also, you will have to re-look at some of the methods, policies, and tools that you are using for your current activities. You need to make an assessment. Next one is your key resources, right? Because for some organizations, you are going to start your business fresh. So I have told many of my clients to consider this post-COVID period as a startup. Imagine that you are going to start a business from the scratch. So with that mindset, make an assessment. What is the market? What is the environment? Who are your customers? What are the opportunities? And then make a fresh assessment of what you're going to deliver to the market. You may have to discontinue certain products. You may have to modify certain products. You may have to onboard new products and markets. So your resource mix will definitely change, or at least need to modify. So you need to look at that accordingly. Then we have key partners. Now, in this case, you need to first make an assessment how far your existing partners support you to continue in the new normal. Before you continue, at least in the current context, how they support. I have seen many businesses blaming for certain partners that they used to have. For example, banks. How your bankers support you at this point in time, right? If you think that they do not support the way you expect, and there are others who support better, maybe it's time to change that. Because as we generally say, friends in need are the friends indeed, right? You are now in a difficult situation. So who are the partners supporting you at this time? And more importantly, whether you want to onboard new partners to rebuild your new business model. For example, as I told you, the trend now is to doorstep delivery. If your organization is not having the capability, before you think about investing on it, I always suggest, why don't you go and partner with someone who has already mastered that skill? Right? There are enough taxi companies, courier companies who have been doing their deliveries with a limited product range. Now they can expand their capabilities to accommodate other products. So you may be one of their partners in delivering your products to the doorsteps. So you need to look at those kind of partnerships, your technology partners and various other segments who will support in the new context. Right. Then comes to the numbers. The first thing I must tell you, do not focus on cutting costs. That is a wrong way of approaching the whole game. This is the first thing most of the people do. When you are in difficult times, you go and see, where can I cut? That is the wrong place to start. Instead, you must start from the place that is different to many of us see. That is, look at what do I really need. As I told you, look at your business fresh as a startup, right? Then you have nothing to cut. You only have to think about what I really need. So first thing you to do is, what do I really need in the current context? And then to take it forward in the new normal. Preserve them first. Then you know what are necessaries and you can park the others aside. Then you can think about looking at restructuring, cutting, outsourcing, discontinuing, all that kind of costly decision you can take once you make your selection. Otherwise, what happens is you might end up cutting the wrong cost. I'll give you one example. Most of the organization in current context start cutting the staff cost, salary. I never ever advocate any of my clients to cut salary. There are various reasons, right? One is a moral reason. Those are the people who supported you to build your business. And when you are in trouble, if you cut them off, that is not a right signal you are giving both to your employees and to your customers, right? It may be a necessity, not the priority. You have to look at all other avenues, and it would be the last place you look at if you really want to consider that. But there are ways of looking at it rather than straight away cutting your salaries. Then you can always look at how you can redefine your processes and optimize your cost. Optimizing cost is different to cutting cost again. Optimizing is how you can get more output for the cost that you incur. Probably optimizing means even incurring more costs. I'll give you an example. Companies like PickMe or Uber, right? They also find it difficult to survive because they have less number of trips from their usual customers because people are locked down in their homes. But if they try to cut the cost, you are trying to downsize. Instead, if you try to incur some more cost and expand your model to accommodate the people in the current context. I have seen in some countries, people have improvised their taxis with partitioning within so that you can accommodate more than one passenger following the health guidelines because you maintain the distance. You have created cubicles inside the vehicle. Another example would be some taxis have been transformed to accommodate other goods, vegetables and stuff, so that instead of people, you can transport them. So you have to incur extra cost as opposed to cut cost, but it will give you incremental revenue. So that is another way of looking at cost. So likewise, there are various aspects you can look at. I have given you a few examples. Then comes the revenue. So as I told you earlier, revenue is not about the rupee value of your sales. It's also about your revenue mix. Now it is high time for you to evaluate your revenue mix and do product profitability, identify your current mix and define, is this the right mix you want to continue? Remember, you have to determine your revenue mix not based on your top line. You have to determine your revenue mix based on the profitability of each revenue segment. Right? So this is something that most of the people don't do. So don't worry about losing top line. Your focus should be the bottom line. Right? So there's one aspect on top of this I need to bring in, which you can't see in this whole model, which I consider as the most important area you need to focus as a business. That is none other than your cash flows. When you are in difficult times, your main focus should be on cash flows. Not only when you are in difficult times, even when you are doing well, cash flow is your priority, but most of the people don't look at it, right? So you need to add that into the scene when you want to look at your business, because that is your lifeblood. Right. And I have suggested most of my people even to do a daily cash flow, if not a weekly one. Monthly cash flow is not enough in today's context, right? It has to be frequent because the circumstances change overnight. You need to be prepared with your cash flow projections and the prioritization accordingly. Right. So in the interest of time, that's the best I can do. I have taken a little more than half an hour to explain this, but I believe you bear with me for that. The most important thing in the end, whatever you do, your attitude matters, right? How you take the current context. Do you want to consider it as a crisis or difficult time or a negative thing? You will never ever be able to get out of this. So you have to have your attitude right. That will determine your altitude, because this is not just a crisis, it's an ocean of opportunities. You don't have difficulties, you have challenges. So when you have challenges, your mind should be prepared to embrace them and navigate through. Right? So the last slide, few rules to follow in the current context. Rule number 1, look after yourself before you look after others, especially on health matters. Look after your own team before you look at your clients, because they are the people who take care of your clients or customers. And look after the health of your client before you look at business. Don't call them and ask for business upfront. First, check whether they're okay. So that matters to build the relationship and loyalty. And more than anything, that shows your humility. Rule number 4, focus on sustainability rather than reinstating. So most of the people are now struggling to see, okay, my business was running at this level, how can I get back to that level? No. Sometimes getting back to your normal capacity might not allow you to sustain in the long run. So one of the critical decisions you will have to take in current context is whether I should downsize my business and operate for a while so that I can ensure sustainability, rather than trying to operate with the full capacity for several months and then close down. These are some of the critical decisions you have to take at this time. Finally, focus on relationship rather than returns, because this is a time that you can build your relationship with your potential customers and strengthen your relationship with existing customers so that your future revenue is secure, right? When your revenue is closed, try to open a relationship. As I always say, nothing is permanent, so is a crisis, so is Corona, right? So keep hope, things will fall in line, but don't wait till things will fall in line, things to fall in line. We have to work on it. So the timeless quote, it is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but the one most responsive to change. Your adaptability, agility is the key in current context. So with that, I stop. Sorry, I have taken a little more time. I hope it was useful. And I think, Kapila, I think we have some time to accommodate questions, if any.
Yes, thank you, Chaminda, for the very interesting and useful session. Thank you, Chaminda. I think if you take the essence of the session that you conducted, so you gave us a good framework to make an assessment of our businesses, where we stand, taking 5 perspectives into account. Even though we may have done this in an unstructured manner, this is going to be quite useful for us again to take a re-look at the strengths or the weaknesses of business. Number 2, you shared with an excellent model, the business model which will help us to take a relook at the entire business. When we want to change, what are the elements of the business model that we can continue with, change, what we are vulnerable, all that were very clearly given. So that is a very good model, I think, which all of us can start thinking about again when we try to rethink of our business model. And having said that, also you gave us magnificent rules, actually 5 rules that is going to be very helpful for us when you try to realign ourselves in this situation. So thank you once again, Charminder, for the excellent session.